What's going on there, folks? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to some out there. It is the Earth Master here on this beautiful Saturday, April 23rd, 2022 is the date. And a beautiful day out here in California. Going to be 80 degrees. So a little bit of warmer weather here in the forecast, at least for us here in California. 2.5 earthquake out there in the Java Trench region. Showing a little bit of uptick in movement there along that area of the trench. Let's go ahead and check out this weekend's activity so far across the map here on the USGS scale, showing the past 24 hours of earthquake activity, 2.5 and above, 4.0 internationally. Looks like a little bit of movement up here off the coast of Taiwan as well, including a 4.1, 35-kilometer deep earthquake into that region. Still haven't seen too much movement here along the Mariana Trench or northward throughout the Japan and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. We did have one earthquake, pretty shallow earthquake here, 4.4 at 10 kilometers. That could be a telltale sign of some further stress up here on the subduction zone itself. It sits a little bit up here where this earthquake just struck. So we've got to watch that region. Around Indonesia, like I mentioned, a little swarm of activity here right around the middle part of the Java Trench on the USGS map here. They got at least one earthquake down here, 4.6 at the southern end, and looks like a little activity up here around the Andaman Sea with a 4.6 up there as well. And in between, just a little spotty activity. We've gone quiet once again around the Fiji Islands and the New Zealand area. Not a whole lot going on throughout that region right now, at least according to the USGS 4.0 and above. We have seen an uptick, though, following yesterday's, was it yesterday or the day before? 6.7. I think we're past that 24-hour period. But technically, yesterday, 6.7 here. Off the coast of Nicaragua into the Middle America Trench, we've seen that movement. It looks like we're starting to see a little migration of some pressure and activity down here along the South America region, where it's been relatively quiet. It's been pretty much non-existent in terms of 4.0 and above along this area over the last week. But now starting to see a little bit of movement, and the majority of it is pretty deep, including a 4.3 here into the Peru-Chile Trench at 282 kilometers deep into that zone. Pretty deep earthquake activity. Then a little bit further south, some further movement with a couple fours kicking up there. Up here in Peru, got some deeper movement up here as well. 4.5 and a 4.3 in that region. So overall, seismic pressure right here along the plate systems here. South America region definitely on the increase today, following that movement there in the Middle America Trench yesterday. Puerto Rico, looks like a little bit of activity kicking up here. We'll go ahead and drop the magnitudes here, pick up the all magnitudes. Looks like we're starting to see a little bit of swarming kick up here once again around the southwest edge of Puerto Rico. This has been an ongoing thing for quite a while, and the dynamics here, you got a trench up here and a couple other players in terms of plate movement when it comes to the swarm up here, swarm down here. It's almost always continuous. I think we'll cover that a little bit later tonight. This is just the last 30 days of activity, but we can go back months and years and look at this ongoing activity of continuous swarming. It's almost always swarming in the same spot right here. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail this evening. And Missy Mimi's will be in here too for the update. We'll switch up. I know we didn't get a chance to do the question and answer show last night. We normally do it on Friday night. Tonight, we'll do it. So around, we'll do it around, let's do 6 p.m. California time, so it's not too late there on the East Coast. Be 9 p.m. there for the folks on the eastern part of the country. We'll do the question and answer show, and of course look into the swarming of activity there at the Puerto Rico region. What do we got here? Ridgecrest, still seeing some activity. Nothing lighting up here in the last hour. Of course, this is all aftershock activity from the July 4th, July 5th sequence of earthquakes there a couple years ago. Actually, a few years ago now. I keep thinking that's 2020, but it's not. 2022. Southern California, no swarming. Actually, looks like the swarming has completely died out there in the Brawley seismic zone. Only a handful of earthquakes, and that's why I think the pressure movement at the moment, and over the last few hours actually, has been down here in the southern part of the South America region. Like I said, not a whole lot going on here along the west coast, throughout the Oregon, Washington area as well. We did have a little activity up here around the Yellowstone region. We'll go ahead and pop up the Yellowstone map and see what we got cooking. Little activity here in the northwestern corner of the park, outside of the Yellowstone caldera, Maple Creek, Masson River area. Seen a little bit of activity overnight. Seen that earthquake right there. See, just a little bit. Nothing big. Nothing to write a book about. No major movement going on here at Yellowstone National Park. No doom and gloom. No weekend doom and gloom from this channel today, folks. Let's see what else we got here for the rest of the region. A little activity up here in Montana outside of Helena. Looks like 2.0. This area did see a swarm of activity here a few months back now. I remember this area looking at this region here. Let's look at the last 30 days of activity here. Yeah, see, there's that little swarm even within the last 30 days, but this goes back here a couple months of this little ongoing swarm of activity. We haven't seen any major movement. In fact, nothing above 2.5, at least in the last 30 days here. So it's just a little area of interest to watch. Some of it's pretty deep here, 17 kilometers deep, so a little bit of activity going on down below the surface there at the Montana region. Of course, a lot of mountain ranges. This area right here kind of button up against the North American craton, the old North American craton, not a crouton, the craton area, and kind of what we're seeing down there, way deep down below the surface. Let's see, western Texas, Oklahoma, only a spotty 1 or 2 earthquakes in that area. Over here in the South Carolina region, we've got 2.2 at 5.8 kilometers north of Greenville, just south of the Great Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains area. Man, I want to get over there. I've never actually visited this specific region here. I've been over to Louisiana. When I was a kid, I was up in Ohio. But specifically, these mountain ranges, man, they're definitely on my bucket list. I want to get over there and check them out. A lot of geology over there that I could explore and visualize. So, what do we got here around the Hawaii area? Let's go ahead and zoom in here. This area has been lighting up a little bit. Yesterday, we seen a little spotty movement up here around the Kilauea volcano. Today, things look like they're just on the mellow side. About 13 earthquakes. Not a big deal. Out around the southeastern region, Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, and Kilauea, all from normal background levels. You know, we got the continuous activity there at the Kilauea volcano. But as far as any advisory adjustments or unusual activity, it's just non-existent currently. Let's see, one little lonesome earthquake up there in China, 4.8, and over here around the, what is that, Zagros Mountains? Probably slaughtered it, but hey, at least I gave it a try, right? 4.4 there in Iran at 10 kilometers. A little bit of activity into the Bosnia area. We haven't seen any further aftershock sequences there following that earthquake yesterday. One earthquake down here into the Mediterranean Sea around Greece, 4.7 at 10 kilometers. So just kind of watching it, folks. You know, there's not a whole lot of large earthquake activity currently occurring. And that could have, you know, we're starting to see these little trends here. We're starting to notice the relation of solar flare activity along with the plate tectonics and how they kind of tend to work hand in hand. And it seems like earthquake activity does pick up when we see that. But over the last 24, 36 hours, I think we've seen that 5.7 there around Bosnia when that last M flare came in. Since then, man, we haven't really seen nothing. And it's just right there at the sea level threshold, right? Right, just hovering that line continuously. Every once in a while, we'll see a little spike into the sea flare category, but it's kind of quiet. And these sunspots are huge and massive, right? And this kind of goes what I was saying the other day. We can have a sunspot region 10 times this big, right? Covering the entire sun, maybe. And if we don't get the polarity dynamics and the intermixing of the magnetic fields in the sunspots, we won't have anything. They'll just sit there and look beautiful, and an awesome view for any solar telescope or solar binoculars or solar cameras, whatever you're using for photography. But when you don't have the specific dynamics to spark these babies up, you're not going to get a show. You know, you got to have the intermixing between these polarities that create that flare. And it's still there. I think there's still a good possibility up here in the 2993 region. And this one, 2994, as massive as it is, it doesn't look super spectacular in terms of creating a massive flare. Possibly 2995. We've got some other sunspots we got to watch as well in the coming days. But they have dropped the forecast to 15% chance of an X flare. M flare stands at 50% chance, and C flare down to about 95% chance. So, but as always, you know, the sun can do what it wants, and it will do what it wants. And you know, we just got to watch it pretty closely and see what is in store. I don't think the show is over by a long shot, but anything that does pop off, any CME, is definitely Earth-directed bullseye shot as we're facing these sunspots directly. There's quite a bit of DX going on right now. DX meaning long-distance radio communications here. Just turned on my radio. I'm getting some radio frequencies from down south here again, but these are kind of the charts, show you where communications are happening at. I'm getting a lot of East Coast movement down into the South America area. These are radio communications here. The sunspots on the sun have a lot to do with these abnormal long-distance communications here, and you can thank the sunspots for that. Let's see what else we got. PNSN, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Here we go. This is from 422 yesterday. Only about 10 epicenters of tremor up here around the Seattle area. So things have kind of calmed down. Nothing on the 21st. Like I say, it's hard to say exactly if they're being honest with the reporting of this. We'll just have to take their word for it, right? Checking out the Mount St. Helens volcanic seismicity map here. This is one thing we can check for ourselves. Kind of wish we had and I don't know of any site. If you guys know where to monitor the live tremor, you know, I'm sure there's some type of chart, but it's not like earthquakes. They don't give off that jolt, that specific reading that we look for on a seismograph that monitors earthquake activity, you know, such as this. The tremor gives off a kind of like a slow vibrational frequency. It's got to be something. I'll look around, see if I can find something a little bit out there. But here's Mount St. Helens, a little bit of activity. These are earthquakes here. Even these little bitty tiny little black specks there that you can see. Those are all earthquake activity, but very, very small. Nothing major. Again, nothing to write a book about. Looking at the previous day of activity. See there as well, a little bit of earthquake activity yesterday. But then again, like I said, very small earthquake activity. Earthquakes Canada, not a lot going on up there. In fact, the last earthquake here, up here in the Alaska region, was from, it looks like it was today, the 22nd, 2.6 in the Alaska region at 1 kilometer depth. Nothing going on up here in the Pacific plate boundary of the North American plate. Man, I hate that when you get hiccups here. But that's the cool thing about being live and doing an update, right? When I make mistakes, I don't sit back and re-record them. They just come out. And yeah, that's a good thing. I've always liked live radio, live TV shows, because I'm kind of into the blooper stuff and seeing what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, I could sit back here and make a 10-minute pre-recorded video with some awesome graphics and an awesome intro, but you know, we kind of like to provide the raw data, the raw Earthmaster, the raw live feed. So that's what we do. Let's see what else we have here, folks. We'll check out the GeoNet servers. I know we haven't checked them out in a little while, New Zealand area, but on occasion I do like to monitor the activity down there going on in New Zealand, because that does play a major part in the southwestern portion of the Pacific Plate. Latest activity looks to be a 2.0. Now, I don't normally use the all map here, because a lot of times these earthquakes pop up and then they disappear. They're not a real earthquake for whatever reason. So this includes deleted events, such as, it looks like some smaller earthquakes, or possibly these ones weren't felt, unnoticeable, but sometimes they do get deleted. But as far as any major activity goes, I'm not seeing anything major. Light and above earthquake activity. Looks like the last felt one was about 3 weeks ago for a 3.0 in the New Zealand area. So I still think we have to watch this region pretty closely. With all the activity ongoing up here, northwestern part, the push of moisture. You can tell I do some weather updates as well. But the push of motion and movement here in this area, you can pretty much draw a line of activity into this region that we've seen over the past couple days. Still adds quite a bit of strain along here, especially when we see deeper movement. We're creating a lot heavier pressure up here on the upper portion of the subduction zone, and that includes areas of the Kermadec Trench down into the Hikurangi area, and of course down here into the South Pacific Ocean. So it's been quiet, awfully quiet. So I'm still watching this area pretty closely for some subsequent movement, which we haven't seen yet. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's about it, folks. I'm going to go out and enjoy the day. I don't have a rideable lawnmower. So I got a couple acres out here of foxtails and some bull thistle, and basically weeds. But they're pretty nice when it's green. But unfortunately, we haven't had too much rain here recently here in California, so it's all turned dead and brown and kind of a fire hazard. So I'm going to go out there with Missy Mimis today, and we're gonna mow it with the lawnmower and also weed eat it. I'm going to break out the weed eater. And it's going to take a little while that way, but like I said, I don't have a rideable lawnmower, and I don't know if I really want one, because I enjoy being out there, being a little energetic. I just don't want to sit on a chair and mow my mow my lawn. So we're going to go out there and mow and weed eat about 3 acres of foxtails and bull thistle. And it's going to be 80 degrees today, so it's a perfect day for barbecue. And probably have a couple of adult beverages while I'm out there weed eating. And just enjoy the sunshine. 2.1 down into the Southern California region. That looks as though, let's see if we can find that on the map here. All magnitudes. Looks like it's right around the San Jacinto fault zone. A little bit of earthquake activity. I was checking to see if maybe we're seeing the swarm kick back up here south of the Salton Sea, but I just don't see it currently. So, all right, guys, have a good day. We'll chat you a little bit later tonight. Like I said, about 6 p.m. California time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be out here with Missy Mimi's question and answer show, and we'll look into more of the swarming activity and the ongoing movement there around southwestern Puerto Rico. Till then, have a great day, folks, and definitely enjoy this weekend. We'll chat you guys tonight.